Ambassador Kestutis Vaškelevičusa, first of all, I would like to congratulate you on your appointment as the ambassador of Lithuania to Azerbaijan.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for giving your first interview to Kitabistan. So welcome to Azerbaijan.
Thank you. Good morning and salam.
Salam. When we think of Baltic states, we often consider themes of regional cooperation, integration, innovation, and sustainable development. So, as a notable example of this period is the Baltic chain event in 1989, when nearly 2 million people joined hands to form a human chain spanning 690 kilometers. And we can consider these as a symbol of cooperation and integration among Baltic states. So can you tell us about Lithuania's experiences and contributions to this regional development?
Yeah, indeed, the Baltic chain is an unprecedented and historical event. Unprecedented because almost 25%, one-fourth of the whole populations came outside to protest against Soviet occupation and then call for independence of all three Baltic states. And this solidarity that was visible, very visible among Baltic states, but it was also very important solidarity among all former captive nations, including Azerbaijan, because that allowed our countries to regain independence, both for Baltic states and for Azerbaijan. And this solidarity led to one of the biggest victories of the 20th century, the collapse of the Soviet Union. And from the start, Baltic states, indeed, as you mentioned, started a very, very intense and very close cooperation on all levels. We established Baltic Assembly, which is the joint parliamentarian assembly from all three Baltic countries' parliaments. We have regular Baltic Council ministers meeting on prime minister's level, usually 3 times per year. Also foreign ministers, presidents. So on all levels, we have regular consultations and cooperation. And this cooperation spreads across all sectors. And just one of the examples how close we're cooperating, it's probably energy security, one of the most important topics, because we have to be interconnected. And before we had all the connections with Russia, including oil, gas, electricity. But then we had to connect to the European network because connection of Russia was unsustainable. It was used for political purposes. We were paying the highest price for gas in Europe for many years. Whenever our foreign policy didn't fit Russia's interest, they stopped, for example, oil. So we had to switch to European networks on energy, and the cooperation among Baltic states here was very, very important because, Estonia can go to European to networks only through Lithuania if you go on ground. And on the other hand, Lithuania can reach Finland only via Estonia. So all this cooperation was very important, and we are continuing, I think, on the unprecedented level, and that close cooperation brings extra benefits for our people, our businesses, as well as for European Union as well.
Well, now we are living in challenging times. We see that the democracies worldwide are facing threats. Unfortunately, we even see the foreign influence and foreign information manipulation to elections. And Lithuania is not an exempt. So how is the Lithuanian government protecting democracy, promoting transparency and strengthening social stability while addressing challenges such as disinformation and foreign influence?
You very rightly pointed that disinformation is one of the biggest challenges now, and World Economic Forum report indicated that disinformation is among top 5 global challenges. And how can it affect the states? I think also Lithuania's and Azerbaijan experience shows very clearly, because in 1990, January 20th, when the Soviet Union tried to crush and killed many civilians in Baku, and a year later they did it in Vilnius the same. They tried to portray that it's not them. I mean, they tried to lie, to hide, and say, in our case, they said that Lithuanians were shooting at Lithuanians. So it was pretty clearly who committed the crimes against humanity, both in Baku and in Vilnius. So we had this experience, and we had more resilience it's like a shot, like from the flu. So Azerbaijan and Lithuania had this shot that some of the Western European countries didn't have. And this is where Lithuania was at the forefront in European Union, saying that already at the beginning of Russia's war against Ukraine in 2014, when the Crimea was occupied, we were telling European Union, together with the partners, other partners in the region, that we have to take seriously this information because it might affect our national security as well. And Lithuania took this approach very seriously. Already in 2014, there were court decisions in Lithuania that forbidden Russian TV programs based on the law that they violated our legislation, which prohibits the hatred on TV and propaganda of war. And based on these decisions, we prolonged, because it was first prohibition for 3 months, then for 6 months, and that became longer because the Russian TV channels which spread propaganda, hatred, and incited the war, they were not taking measures to take away those programs which propagated hatred. And European Court of Justice, European Commission, and Lithuanian courts as well, they said that the decisions were based on the legislation and that these decisions were correct. And we have really to take it very seriously. And it's not only in Lithuania, it's not only government that takes care, it's a whole society approach. A lot of societal initiatives, NGOs initiatives, who are trying to counter disinformation and increase societal resilience. We had even the grassroots initiative of so-called elves, because we had Russian trolls, and there were societies, some people themselves organized, and they created this informal group of elves which were countering Russian trolls on the internet. And how much important it bears, it also shows the recent example, because 10 days ago, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia disconnected from Russia's electricity grid and connected to European grid. And of course, it's very painful for Kremlin because you lose the influence. So on the internet, they try to kind of scare our people that we will not have electricity will be stopped, electricity prices will increase, etc. And it was a huge kind of inflow and attacks of disinformation. But there was completely no panic, and Lithuanian citizens trusted the institutions, and it showed that everything post-connection was synchronization of European electricity grid was very smoothly, and the price remained the same.
Well, right now, one of the most challenging issues globally is, of course, climate change, and almost each country has its own climate action plan. So Lithuania also has its own climate action plan for 2021-2030, which aims for net zero emissions by 2050 and a significant increase in renewable energy. So what are the most crucial steps Lithuania is taking to achieve these ambitious goals?
Yeah, indeed, it's one of the biggest challenges, and I congratulate Azerbaijan with a successful organization of COP29. It's really an important step towards rallying global efforts, in fighting climate change. On the Lithuania side, we of course are part of European Union, and European Commission has the plans. It's a joint effort, but on our national plans, we strive to have more than 50% of all energy produced from renewables by 2030. One of the most important things is, of course, generation of renewables energy from solar, wind, and biomass, and we're on the track to achieve our goals. Another very important aspect in our national strategy is innovation, because innovation allows to use less electricity, less gas or oil, and more on renewables, as well as we have this saving of the energy. For example, so many old buildings that were built during Soviet occupation, they are not energy efficient. So it's a huge effort of renovating of big houses, which also gives a lot of extra, credit and extra results while we're trying to achieve our renewable energy goals.
Well, you mentioned your country's ambitions on combating climate change, also how in these tough times you are protecting your democracy while preserving social stability and contributing to regional development. But we know that without proper and good quality of education, it's hard to achieve all of this. So let's talk about Lithuania's education model. We know that the tradition of higher education in Lithuania dates back to 16th century when the Vilnius University was founded. And Vilnius University is one of the oldest universities in Eastern Europe. So can you tell us what are the advantages of Lithuanian education model and what opportunities does it offer for students?
Lithuanian education system is based on the inclusiveness. So that we have to include all children from remote areas, with disabilities, etc. So it's one of the important aspects. Another is that we are now trying to put a focus on so-called STEM, like technology, engineering, etc. But also very important aspect is that we have and provide very widespread and big opportunities for high education. A lot of universities and colleges in Lithuania allow students to select their profession already while they're being in the last year at a secondary school or high school. And all these big opportunities that they can select, it's also gives a result because a lot of foreign companies, especially in IT, in life sciences, etc., they coming with investment into Lithuania and highlighting that one of the attractive elements that why they chose Lithuania as an investment country is high education, and the students coming prepared to work in these IT or life sciences sectors, and a very close cooperation between high education institutions and businesses. And it's a kind of businesses already engage students while they study at universities. So the universities know the demands for the business, and business can sponsor some of the programs and help students to prepare for their jobs in the future.
Well, you talked the education system in general, but let's talk about the lifelong learning program in Lithuania, because the government is implementing several significant projects within this program, and one such is the Connected Lithuania initiative. And thanks to this initiative, over 100,000 people gained digital skills between 2018 and 2022. So how has the Connected Lithuania initiative enhanced digital equity in the country, and what benefits has the country experienced as a result?
Yes, these programs that you mentioned are very important, and we were able to do that because we had also finance from European Union, from next generation programs, and from other programs. These are very important initiatives, and we understand that for young generation, for young people, IT skills are coming kind of naturally, but it doesn't come naturally for older generations. So there are a lot of programs that try to connect these people on the virtual world and teach the digital skills. And as you mentioned already, really 100,000 people and a lot of libraries. I think more than 200 libraries across Lithuania participate in that, and they allow and they invite the senior citizens to come and to learn digital skills. And of course, it helps our senior citizens to be a part of those, e-system. They can much easier use e-services, which are now so much important. They feel safer online because we have, and I guess a lot of countries across the world have all these attempts to use scam and to to steal money or electronic money from the people, not just seniors, but from everybody. And senior people sometimes are more exposed to that. So these digital skills also learn how to be safe online as well. So these are very concrete, practical skills that people can learn thanks to the programs financed by European Union.
So you mentioned about teaching IT skills to the local people in Lithuania, but let's talk about the IT and life sciences in Lithuania, because during the years of independence, Lithuania made a significant progress in these fields. So what strategic measures is the country implementing to sustain this progress and enhance its global competitiveness?
Yes, we're very proud of our IT and life sciences sector. For example, if we're taking IT, we have the fastest public Wi-Fi in the world. 95 out of 100 best universities in the world, in America, in Israel, in Japan, 95 out of 100 best universities in the world use Lithuanian laser technologies. So it's another example. Life sciences is also, we're very proud of life sciences because it's one of the powerhouse now in Europe. We have one of the biggest events every 2 years in Lithuania. And we also hope for Azerbaijani companies and scientists to participate. It will happen this year in September. And Lithuania has one of the fastest annual growth in life sciences in European Union, 25% per year. 95% of our pharmaceutical products that are being produced in Lithuania, they are being exported to more than 100 countries, including America, Germany, UK, etc. And now Lithuania is building even the BioCity, one of the largest in Europe. It will create it's the size of that BioCity. It will be like 10 football fields with 200 people working in there. And we hope that our life sciences will contribute 5% to our GDP, which is very, very high. I think it's one of the highest in the world. We have 120 startups which work in the life sciences sector. And this ecosystem that the government also encourages, and it's very open, that our universities also invest into that. Lithuania ranks the third among OECD countries, the leading economies in the world, the third among the investment into research and development into life sciences sector. And this investment and the opportunities to do of the easiness of doing businesses in overall, it has results, and we're very proud of that, and we hope that also Azerbaijan can also use these opportunities and we can cooperate in this field.
Well, I believe that our audience is also keen on to learn about business opportunities in Lithuania, because in 2021, Lithuania launched e-residency program, and this program enables entrepreneurs to start and manage a company in Lithuania without the need to travel there. So what are the main advantages of the e-residency program in attracting foreign entrepreneurs and facilitating business activities?
Yes, usually for foreigners, it's these bureaucratic hurdles, one of the biggest hurdles, challenges when trying to do business in the foreign country. So what Lithuania proposed, it's an e-residence. We don't need to travel physically, but you can apply online, and the decision is being taken quite fast. And once you receive e-residence, without even we don't need to get a visa. You just live in the foreign country, apply for e-residence, and that e-residence allows you, for example, open a company. You can open the company, or you can electronically sign the documents that are needed for many services in Lithuania. So this e-services really provides a very convenient way for foreigners to start business or to do other business-related or other sector-related things in Lithuania.
Well, our last question is a traditional one, and it's a classic. So each time we ask, what book would you recommend to our readers, to ambassadors and experts that we are interviewing? So what's your book recommendation to our audience?
Yes, if I may also to speak about two books, not only one.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. First of all, it's a book that has been recently published in Azerbaijan. It's by our classical author Balis Soga, and he was in a concentration camp, Nazi concentration camp, and after returning from Nazi concentration camp back from camp to Lithuania, he wrote memoirs. It was one of the first memoirs about experience in concentration camp in Europe, and I think it's also applicable today because the experience that he wrote, because it's also written of the dangers of the authoritarian regimes, how authoritarian regimes try to crush human spirit, that would feel very much unimportant, unnecessary. You don't have your destiny is determined by some authoritarian leaders. And why it happened? Because two authoritarian leaders were dividing the world before Second World War, and many countries just appeased them, used the policy of appeasement, and this dangerous historical precedents led to one of the biggest disasters in world history, the Second World War. So this book, by the memoirs in the concentration camps, also teaches us very important historical lessons, and it's available here for Azerbaijani readers in Azerbaijani language, translated by a famous translator and essayist, Mahir Kamzayev, who is also the chair of Lithuanian Azerbaijani Society and lives in Vilnius. And another book that I don't have of myself, I read in Vilnius some time ago. It was about Winston Churchill, his biography. And the reason why I'm telling that, because it very often, if not every day, comes to my mind while hearing the news from Ukraine, because Ukraine is fighting a war that can be compared like David's war against Goliath. And he's today's Churchill. President Zelensky is today's Churchill. In the world of Ribbentrops and Molotovs and Chamberlains, Zelensky provides us the hope and the example of Winston Churchill. So that's this biography. I often remember the one that I read in Lithuania, and I really recommend to read. I believe that many people also read them, but to reread and to remember the facts of the leader, of true leader, who, in the face of unsurmountable challenges, he didn't became afraid, and he stood up, and the freedom was defended. So the Churchill's and Zelensky's comparison, for me, it's a very, very kind of visible today, and I think that these books, to read what was in the mind of those leaders, it's very important even today.
Thank you very much for your comprehensive responses and very insightful interview.
Thank you.